Hey everyone, this is Songtradr Happy Hour. Today we're talking all things Chillhop music. I'm joined by Chillhop's founder and CEO, Bas van Leeuwen, and head of marketing, Theo Egginton, also known as T-Dog. I just found out. Welcome, guys. So we are talking all things Chillhop, and we're very excited that two of you have joined us, and it's quite late for you, I know, so thank you, over in sunny Rotterdam. The million-dollar question that I really want to start with is, what is Chillhop music?
Well, luckily we have about an hour, so Chillhop started as a blog. So I found this music 2012, I think, and I just finished my studies, my college degree. I was like, I found this music and it was very unknown, so I just wanted to start something for it to get more people to listen to it. So it started as a blog. Then I figured that it doesn't make sense to write about music I'm not really a great writer, which is something I found out pretty quickly. And then I found out that it's better to share the music itself and focus on that rather than, writing about it, at least in my position. So I started a YouTube channel where I just found music, shared it with others, talked to the artists, of course, to get to know them. So it started originally, you could call it, as a promo channel. I think in 15, 16, I started a label to get more involved also in the creative process, as well as, helping the music get heard and just like being more involved in the process as a whole. From there on out, we also grew a publishing division. So let's call it a music platform, but we're very multifaceted. So started as a promo channel, started a label after it, and we're just doing a lot of things at the moment. So at the core, a music label, I would say. Yeah.
Yeah. So you said promo. What type of promo was it that you were doing?
Well, promo in the sense that we have a YouTube channel, first and foremost, which was also the foundation of the label, since I've already built that YouTube channel up to, at that point, it was like 100,000 subscribers. Currently, it's at about little over 3 million subscribers. So that's at the baseline also of the label. And, just because we already have this platform and a sort of like established audience, starting the label then was a sort of natural step. So, and we also have our own Spotify playlists that are reasonably sized. So I think, it started as a promo channel and everything is sort of like built on that. So it's also a very core part of what we do.
So with millions in the audience, Theo, is that all you as the head of marketing?
Man, this is Bas. I've only had the pleasure of working here for a little over a year. So I think really Bas and a really small core team at the start of this whole thing just worked at really organic kind of approach of just talking to people and growing the channel like that. I'm sure Bas can speak to that more as he has done already. But yeah, when I came on board, it was already flying. So it was a big challenge, to say the least.
Yeah, so how do you take something that's already feeling like it's engaging so well, has such a great audience, and then feel like, hey, I want to do something to move the needle even more?
Yeah, I think a lot of it's just been about understanding each core part of the business to start with. I mean, marketing, we're lucky enough to have a CEO who is what I'd describe as like a natural marketer. I mean, I think he thinks about it way more than any owner that I've ever really worked with before. And it's kind of a blessing and a curse in that I know that everything I do, Bas is also going to have a really astute opinion on. But I think we work well together. And a lot of it's been about understanding the team and where the holes are, but also what we do really well and just trying to kind of plug those holes and stay true to what the audience want and what they value. And bring the audience closer and look at the exciting new things that Bas has on the horizon and making sure we're actually prepared both internally and externally for that to happen.
Yeah, preparation is key. I'd love to hear some of these exciting things a little bit later, but I've seen a lot of the debate raging online about chill hop as a genre or as music itself. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of hard to. I think it's always like a futile discussion about when you talk about genres because it's one person says A, another person says B. In the end, it's just music. So I never started it with the intention of it becoming a genre. I literally was just with a friend of mine, and we were like, yeah, let's do something more for this music. And we were like, how would you call it? We were like, yeah, let's see if chillhop.com is available. And it was, and then we just rolled with it. So yeah, it was kind of a serendipitous in a way.
Oh yeah, I'd say as a marketer, T-Dog, I really want to use T-Dog now. How often is it that you can find a URL that easily or a .com?
Yeah, I think across the board. I mean, I think it was, again, serendipitous for Bas. Like you say, I think there's a few funny things throughout the history of Chillhop that just seem to fall in place. I'm sure Bas can tell you about the raccoon mascot that we have as well and how that came into play when we were looking to rebrand. Yeah, it's tough. And as you obviously see as well, there's a lot of competition that use the name in the form of a genre, but also kind of use it in the name of the brand. And it causes a lot of confusion, but that's where I think it's a good job we are the kind of brand we are because we're so heavily focused on being unique and pushing things forward, but staying true to this really core kind of visual presence. And yeah, I think the main thing that I get from people who are educated in this kind of genre of music is they can set chill hop apart when they listen to chill hop specifically against what you might traditionally call a lo-fi beat, so to speak.
Yeah, that's great. Well, it's a good problem to have, right? The people raging online about what it is. That's what you want. It's a marketer's dream. So can I talk about the mission then? What were your intentions when you first started out?
When I first started out, it was mostly just, helping more people discover this type of music and helping the artists find an audience because I think they were talented artists. And, I had to, go on adventures on SoundCloud and Bandcamp and Last FM to find this type of music, and you would find like a bootleg download link, and it was very hard to find even this type of music. So that was my first goal. And then I feel like it's also in a sort of like everyday life that's getting more and more hectic. Everyone is always in connection, and we're always like, especially Dutch people, I have to say, Dutch people are living in such a high pace that I feel like people need a little bit more relaxation and need to smoothen their life out a little bit more. And it was also something that I needed. So it was an extra benefit that I could use it in that way as well. But yeah, I just like to create I really liked combining all of the things from my upbringing. So I'm from the countryside in the Netherlands, which is a little bit more calm than Rotterdam. So it was nice to infuse that into the brand as well. So it's something that I'm sort of like the music in that sense, being more chill is something that I'm naturally drawn to as well. So I wanted to share that with others.
Yeah, and I think you're doing that for sure. Has that intention or that mission changed at all? Or do you still feel like it's very clearly the chill hop mission?
It is the mission, but as the genre or the sound grows and there are more entities releasing this music, there is a bigger emphasis for me personally to do something that has a distinct personality and characteristic. I like it when something has just a little bit of an edge, when it's not as clear cut, and that's for me fun to work on, and just from a personal standpoint, I like it when you keep striving for new things, whether it's in the sound, whether it's in the package as a whole, whether it's in technology. So I think that's just like an inherent interest personally to keep pushing things forward. So the mission is still there, of course, and we're still working on it like that. But we're also, our values are also that we keep it unique and that we keep pushing it forward.
Yeah, is it too obvious for me to say that I'm getting it loud and clear? Chill, you like to relax, hop, keep things moving.
Yeah, I guess you could see it like that. I wish I had. I mean, it's might be a little bit controversial, but I'm working hard on it. So I wish I had a little bit more of that chill. But yeah, it's still the mission to keep it relaxed and to help people find a little bit of relaxation in that world where we're always 24/7 connected with everything.
Yeah, it's a worthy mission, especially after the year that we've just been through, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And so out of the audience that you found, who are your main audience and how do they typically find Chillhop?
I'll leave it up to Theo. I think Theo has done quite some audience, some research into the audience lately. So,
yeah, I think it's an ever-changing presence, honestly, and we're seeing changes even now start to appear. But I think in general, if we want to talk about like age brackets and stuff, that's easy. But overall, we see that it's just people who need to relax and focus or seek escapism. There's this Portuguese word, I'll butcher it if I try to pronounce it. It's like Saudade, and it's like a sense of like a deep emotional state of nostalgic and profound melancholic longing for something or someone that you care for or something that you care for. It's like there's no English translation. And I think when I actually look across the audiences and I speak to them or I read what they put to us, it all very much comes back to that one thing of like, there's this kind of emotional state that the style of music puts you in. So I think from what people are looking for, that's how we find them in that sense. But from a more literal perspective, YouTube for us is like a massive thing. That's where I think inherently this genre people go to find it other than the DSPs. And I think that's where we have our strongest presence. So yeah, there's everything from like what we thought initially was just like college students, using it to study to. But as we learn more and more about this audience, we see there's a lot of teachers that use it in the classroom. There's a lot of young professionals using it as well, and in all different kinds of ways. And then there's the kind of endless trope that we hear that, you can literally put this style of music to any situation in your life and it will enhance it in some way. And I firmly do believe that. And I think that's a big part of what we do. It's like it eliminates the awkwardness at a dinner party if you have it instead of silence. But on top of that, you can really kind of just shut the world out if you want to just listen to music and be on your own for a while. It's like almost everything it goes well with. I've actually seen a massive spike in extreme sports enthusiasts lately using Chillhop as well. So it really, I'm never surprised anymore when I see a new demographic come into play.
Oh, amazing. Extreme sports, chilling out. That one I have to see.
The more extreme you go with these activities and sports, especially, you when you're thinking about like the groups of people you might want to target, you obviously think sports, no way. But then you think about everything they do outside of the actual activity itself. Sports professionals, they have a lot of recovery time. They have a lot of time where they need to relax and stuff. And I think that's like a thing that's very easy to miss. But I think for me personally, that's what I see with like this extreme sports stuff. It does accompany it in a way, but certainly in the times of recovery and stuff, it's kind of perfect for that also.
Yeah, that's really interesting, actually. Have you done any kind of formal exploration on the therapeutic benefits or the health benefits of Chillhop and why it's actually connecting with people in that way?
No real research.
Yeah, we looked across the web and we've obviously done our due diligence to try and find something. But I think we're learning more about it in a non-scientific way through things like partnerships and accessing new communities. I think the partnership with Relaxed Melodies we did with a relaxation and meditation app, like just showcased the malleability of the music and how it can help people, and also just the feedback from our community. But yeah, maybe we need to hire a scientist to actually go into it, Bas.
Good idea.
Yeah. Well, so that was one of my questions as to why you think that you've been able to create such strong engagement from your audiences, because they don't just like to listen to the music, they really get involved, don't they? And they discuss online. And so do you think that's it, that you've really connected with something very, very foundational for people?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's what creates a connection between people. Because like if you have honestly, if you have a traditional label, you have an artist and there are two people that are a big fan of those artists, those tend to create very strong communities or relationships as well. So, but I think for us, it's a very, what I say, universal sort of thing that's easy to connect with a lot of people. So it's easy to, it's easy for people to connect through this shared sense of wanting more relaxation. But I think that relaxation is just like one level of it. You know, the personality of it all is what really draws people to stay.
Yeah, and it's that Saudade. I'm going to butcher it along with you, Theo. So.
I even actually in prep for this meeting, I went on Google Translate and pressed the like Portuguese version of it, and I was like, "There's no way I'm going to be able to pronounce that." That's just not gonna happen.
Yeah. Well, so you mentioned the raccoon, and I really do want to explore the raccoon a little bit more and the artwork. Where did the raccoon come from? And is it based on someone that you actually know?
Yeah, no. So I kind of see a lot of resemblance between us as a label and like our characteristics and personality and raccoons. I think raccoons they're like an animal that, you know, comes from nature but adapted to the city life. I kind of see a resemblance there as well between nature and city. That's where I often see myself floating. I think it's an animal that looks like cute on the surface but is a little bit, you know, has a little bit of like an attitude and like a little bit of an edge, which I like as well. It's quirky in a way. It's funny. So I was like, a raccoon is really like an animal that I think fits really well. They look very chill, you know, when you see them in like a dumpster digging for food. They look funny and I like them, but you know, they can be pretty gnarly animals as well. So I was actually in Canada at I visited the label, my friends at the label Monster Cat, which is a fairly big indie electronic music label. And I was staying with one of my colleagues in an Airbnb north of Vancouver, and we were discussing. At that point, we were discussing the raccoon already. And we're like, "Yeah, should we go for it?" And then I look out like the window, and I see like a raccoon in front of the window, just like looking in. And I even have I took a video of it, and it was just like standing there yawning. And yeah, then I was like, "Yeah, we should just go for it at this point." So yeah, we did it. And I think like, again, because of the characteristics that fit our brand, it's pretty easy to fit the raccoon into what we do because yeah, the raccoon fits Chillhop. So it's a good fit.
Yeah, sounds amazing. What an amazing coincidence or situation. I wish a Songtradr had come and stared at me through the window. That would have just made it so much more serendipitous. But so the artwork then, what was the decision behind making it all animated? And I read up a little bit on Jorge. Did I say that right? Artola?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when did he start working with you?
So he started earlier, but like his big project now is like the Chillhop Essentials. So for every year we have a compilation series where 4 times a year for every season we have a compilation coming out with just exclusive tracks from artists. And every year we have a different visual artist on it. So this year we have Jorge. And if you go back in the years, you will see consistency inside the year, throughout the year, and then it changes every year. So every year is like a package on itself. And I think the style, it's just easy with like what we like. Our music is very, the visual aspect is very important to it, as you mentioned. So using illustration and animation just makes it easier to create something out of nothing, and also allows us to connect with a lot of like talented illustrators and animators from all around the world. So it's always a cool sort of collaboration in that sense as well.
Yeah, well, I love it. And I think it means that you don't have to get any signed releases from your talent, which is always an easier thing. We're going to leave it right there for now, and we'll be back with more shortly. Welcome back. We're talking to Bas van Leeuwen and Theo Egginton from Chillhop. Last year, okay, let's talk last year, because that was unlike anything that most of us have ever known. Did that global turmoil and the lockdown affect Chillhop and the Chillhop team in any significant way?
Yeah, I think, I mean, on surface level, we're very lucky to be able to run our business and not be as dependent on things like live, performances. So we're lucky in that sense. On the other hand, our plans were to do more things in real life and sort of transition a little bit from that very internet and online focused environment towards just doing more stuff in real life. And that was kind of a challenge, to say the least, with the pandemic. So yeah, I mean, that served some challenges. And we have a team that's fairly international as well. So people that moved over to the Netherlands, that some of my colleagues were extra isolated. I mean, Theo, you can speak a little bit to that as well. Theo moved here in the when Rotterdam was in lockdown early last year. So yeah, he came in a challenging time.
Theo?
Yeah, super hard. And again, I like to take the frame that even though there's been a lot of challenges for me personally, I'm still one of the very lucky people who has a fantastic job that I can do digitally, without any real consequence. But yeah, I moved here the week that the UK went into lockdown. So I came here with this idea that I would come here for a few weeks, and then the family would come visit, check out the spot and all this. And yeah, it went, I think it was about 3 months. Then I managed to go home for a bit, had to quarantine just to see. And then I was able to see people for a few days. Then I came back, and then yeah, I got stuck back in the UK at Christmas for 3 months. I was supposed to go back for 3 weeks. Bas was really happy about that. And no, they were really good about it. I mean, honestly, like I say, to be honest, it's really, really sucked. It's been really hard. And obviously coming here, not knowing anyone, was very, very isolating. But I think there's technology out there to help you. I play a hell of a lot of PS4, and I have all my friends back home just play games with. And everyone at Chillhop's really focused on making sure when people are isolated, they have an outlet to fix that. So like Bas introduced me to climbing, for example, and now I'm obsessed with climbing. And as of tomorrow, we can go again. So yeah, it's changing your routines, it's changing stuff, but just trying to stay existent, because I think there's that thing that's, well, not to get too deep, but where you kind of wake up one day and you're like, am I living or am I just existing at this point, Yeah,
it's a common story. And given what we've just discussed, being that Chillhop really does have some very relaxation and therapeutic effects on people, did you get that kind of direct feedback from your audience that it was helping them in that way?
I think Chillhop is always sort of therapeutic and helping people through tough times. So it's good to hear this kind of feedback from the audience as well, and to know how the music helps them. So that's great in a way that we in this like tough time could help people sort of ease the stress they have about the whole situation. Of course, it's also, we couldn't have artists over, so it's like everything went a little bit more digital. But again, we were one of the lucky ones that weren't destroyed by the pandemic as much as other brands were. So, even if some small things went a little bit different, and even if it took us, a little bit more effort, I consider ourselves lucky in that sense. And also I'm happy that we could help people in this time as well.
Did you do anything that responded to the effects of the pandemic and the lockdown? Were there any kind of strategies or moves to share more with people, or other kinds of marketing or business decisions that would help people through this?
No, I mean, the most things we did was like community related. So we have our Discord server, and we have like the premieres that we run when we release new big like compilations on the label. So those were the main things. I'm not sure if I'm forgetting some things there, Theo, but yeah.
Yeah, I think the thing was just doubling down on the community in general. It was spending more time there, and our awesome community team. They feel very connected and part of that experience, especially in Discord. So there was a lot more engagement in that rate. We never really set out, and this is very much part of what Bas is about. There was no thinking like, okay, this is happening, how can we, capitalize on it, so to speak. I don't think most people approach it like that. I think for us, it was just more about how can we continue to help people within the scope of what we know. Because the other thing is, setting up something that we don't really know anything about probably won't help people much either. So yeah, we really did double down on what we did best. And yeah, we tried to add our own Chillhop humor into it, like this like micro thing of getting the raccoon drawn up, like washing his paws, and just reminding people to wear a mask and wash their paws, and just little things like that. I think, it was just trying to brighten people's day a little bit, but without any kind of like formulated strategy for growth or anything.
Yeah, interesting. I think there were a few examples out there of companies that actually tried to capitalize on the whole event, and it didn't always go that well for them. So if we talk about the wider industry now, what do you think are some of the biggest challenges that we're facing now?
I don't know. I think just things move very quickly. I mean, you can be in one day and out another. You can see it as example even with, a lot of artists focus very much on the big streaming platforms like Spotify, and you can be in a playlist in one day and have a lot of listeners. The next day you're out of the playlist and you don't have listeners anymore. So whereas I think traditionally an artist's sort of like brand is something that built up slowly but surely along the way. I think because there's now more of like a focus on these short-term placements, a lot of artists are not building that much of a brand for themselves. This is something that we're seeing as a challenge for ourselves as well. It's like, how do you set yourself up for the long term within such a fast changing environment? And I mean, there's always a lot of factors that come into play, like societal factors, environmental factors. If you even talk about these things like NFTs, which is a big thing in the music industry at the moment, it's like, it's great, but we have values for ourselves. Like, we want to be somewhat of a sustainable as possible in what we do. And it's like, okay, do we tap into it? Do we not tap into it? And things move so quickly that you don't really have proper time to think about it. So I think that's, the biggest challenge is like staying relevant and being able to adapt to a fast changing environment.
I'm sure you've got something to add there, Theo. What do you think?
Yeah, I think there's some things that speak to our time at the moment. I think trying to control your brand outside of your own sphere of influence is really difficult. Platforms that we operate in often give you very limited ability to kind of customize what you're doing. And I think even in the scope of e-commerce as well, if you're looking at the opportunities across the internet by putting your merchandise on a certain platform, there's opportunities obviously to reach a lot more people. But when you're a brand like ours, where it's really important, the nuance of how you present things so people can understand it better and exactly what we're about, it's really hard to kind of do that. So it's trying to keep things close to heart, but also matching that with enough reach. I think it's quite difficult for people. Bas has already kind of spoken about it, but yeah, platforms just changing all the time. Like Spotify changed recently, and it's sort of just changed however we look at things. And it's kind of, as a team, you reach this almost like a paradox where there's so many platforms and there's so many things changing within those platforms. You can adapt to them as quick as you can, but are you really providing like the core purpose of it, which is value for the user? And I think that's a really difficult thing. What we find is if you saturate across too many of these platforms, and there's so many emerging. Like we had a big thing about Clubhouse because I've got an Android phone, so I can't even try it out. So I'm like having to go to my girlfriend and like ask her to download it and try and get an invite from someone. And but the reality is, I think the strategy, especially what Bas likes to see as well, and myself, is, if we are going to commit to a platform, it has to be right. And, realizing something is an emerging platform and trying to react to that and put something on it, but it might be a carbon copy of what we do on another platform. I mean, it's pretty obvious it's not going to work. So really taking the time to learn it and understand and adapt is important to us, but also not spreading our team too thin. I mean, we're quite a modest team, to be honest, for the scope of what we're doing. And there's only so much time we can spend. So it's about, getting that nice balance and making sure we commit to the right platforms that we feel our audience are most engaged on, and making sure the quality there for what we do is great.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. And that happens a lot in businesses, especially when they're entrepreneurial and they're always looking for the shiny stuff, as they say. It's very easy to create that whiplash through your team, where you're diluted to a point where no one feels effective, and then you're not really sure where you've ended up. So I think that's smart. So then what is your advice to other budding entrepreneurs out there who might be considering starting their own label or their own business in this industry?
Do it. I mean, honestly, like the worst thing that can happen is like you learn from it, right? If you approach it with the right perspective and, not what can you take, but what can you also offer of value that's unique to either the artist as well as the audience, I think. And you can only learn from it. Honestly, when I started, I was like, I had a little bit of a background, but also learned a lot along the way. So like, worst case scenario, you learn a lot, but if you always approach it with the right intention, I think it can only turn out right. Like, don't throw a lot of money at it and expect it to do well. I mean, that's a given, I think. But there's a pretty low barrier to entry, and if you start a label, and especially if you work with, for example, artists, that if you start from nothing and you work with artists that also aren't big, then you can level with them and you are on the same level, and it's a very nice and personal relationship that you can build up together. I mean, if you start a label and you don't really have that much to offer and you go for the big artists or bigger artists, there's a bigger chance you'll have more of a transactional relationship. And I think it's nice to really get to know the artists that you work with and see, what unique value can you offer that warrants the artists going for you over another option.
Theo?
I'd say just be consistent in your branding and genuine in your content, and network like crazy. Yeah. If you find your niche, then commit to it wholeheartedly.
Great. Okay, so here's the sticky question. What do you wish you'd known before you started out?
I mean, I thought about this, but it's very hard. I think actually I was thinking about this today, and I was like, the time where I didn't know a lot of things was actually one of the best times, because I think, ignorance is bliss. And I don't know, just thought it was like a fun time where I was like, wasn't thinking about all of these things and my mind wasn't racing to, I was just, creating some stuff with, some people, and it was fun. And I think a lot of the fun is in actually learning the things. So there's nothing, if there's one thing I've learned is that, once this ball starts rolling, it's very hard to stop it. So like from a personal standpoint, it's like, when something goes well, more opportunities pop up, and you tend to be like, oh yeah, I can do this and I can do that and I can do that. And it's easy to spread yourself too thin in that sense. So I think taking things slow and really appreciate the learning experience and the path there, that's something I would definitely advise, paying more attention to that and really realizing that that's the fun part of it all. Yeah, it's from my side.
It's your turn, Theo.
Well, when we're talking about starting out, do you mean me as like a marketeer? Or just as a person, or in the
Look,
context?
I guess I'm just going for the juiciest story. So wherever you want to take it from your timeline.
I think a fun one that's quite recent in history is believing in your gut, or like trusting your gut, but backing your gut up with data is always a good one. I think one that I personally experienced with, not from my side of, I guess on both sides actually, really, but not being afraid of giving people too much praise. I think a lot of senior staff that I've had at other companies were really almost like too afraid to compliment when someone did a good job, because they were worried it would mean their like efficiency would go down, or they wouldn't, But I think finding a balance there is important, and not being afraid of that is good. I try to apply that where possible. And I think if you don't like something, then just tell people as quick as you can, especially on a project. It's very easy to come in at the dying moments and go, I knew that wasn't going to work. But I think, being frank up front, and if you're worried about something and saying it to the team will always go better, and end with a better product, of course. And definitely one I can relate to is owning your mistakes and embracing them wholeheartedly and making sure that you're the one that fixes it. I think, I heard recently, and it was really, really good, that, when you don't own your own mistakes and fix them, they just end up with someone else as their problems. So, working to fix your own mistakes, or at least learn from them, is key.
Speaking of mistakes, can we dig into that a little bit more? And I'm being very dramatic here, what's been your worst career mistake and maybe your best career moment?
I'm usually pretty stubborn, so I've learned to be a little bit less stubborn. I think that's one of the biggest things that I've learned. I don't know if it's like it's not a specific mistake, I guess. So I'm sorry. Maybe it's not juicy enough.
Oh, well, that's fine. I'm happy to hang for more juice. Theo was grinning on that stubborn bit.
That's why I'm here, to drop some absolute clangers of mistakes I've made.
Clang away.
I wouldn't say that's stubborn, Bas. I think you just know what you want. I think moving to London with no money to pursue a career in music is a big mistake. It's a great thing to try, but I think maybe save up some money before you do it. That's not great. But also, I think one of the biggest things that plagued me when I was younger was just not knowing my own worth. I think when I was beaten down by bosses and told I was worth this, whether that's monetary or job role title or whatever it is. And I could feel deep down that I knew what I was doing. I could write down in a list what the things I would do and then put that against the job description, for example. But it didn't matter. And ultimately, if you're in that kind of scenario, you have to have the confidence to either jump ship or speak about it. And I think a lot of people, probably even now, are probably sat thinking that things will change. But unless you would make the change yourself, it won't. That's the reality. So, some painful conversations, but it's led to me moving on to places and ultimately being here, and this is definitely a place where I think everyone is just valued so highly, and that's a really nice environment to be.
Amazing. Testament to you then, Bas. So high moment.
High moments? Yeah.
Yeah. Any high moments in your careers that really stand out for you?
I mean, honestly, the high moments are usually just like being together with the team and having like getaways with the team. Honestly, I think, I mean, you can think of things like milestones, but they are very much like a very moment. And I think the road there is more interesting. So I think, I mean, it's been a while now, but it's always just been fun to have the team together and, for me personally, I always get, wouldn't say like weirded out, but it's always just like sometimes I have a moment of realization is that I'm just like a random guy, and then there's like a group of people from all around the world together somewhere, sort of because of me or something. So that's interesting.
Yeah, we're all random, aren't we? And we just kind of bump into each other randomly too. Theo, one last word.
High moment. I mean, I could be super cheesy and say when I got this job. I think that would be the obvious cheesy one. I mean, that was a big moment for me, I think. But yeah, also in a slightly more humorous perspective, I think way back when I ran a festival that ran into another festival, and I think I worked about 26 hours straight. I remember clocking off roughly there and then going to McDonald's, and that was a really high moment. Not because, I mean, the festival went fine, but it was more the McDonald's in my hand and knowing that it was over. That was a really high moment.
Amazing. All right. Well, we're going to take a break now. We'll be back with more soon. And we're back with Bas van Leeuwen and Theo Egginton from Chillhop Music. And now it's community questions. All right, first one. What are some artists you think made Chillhop what it is? And this is from Maddie Ringe.
I mean, Jay Dilla, Nujabes, and I think a lot of like the jazz artists that were being sampled and stuff for this music as well. So, there's a lot of artists to name. I think started in a lot of ways. Like when I discovered the music, it was a lot of Japanese artists that I listened to, a lot of American artists that were paving the way for this type of music as well. So yeah, it's a lot of artists to name, but I think those two for me are the main ones that signify sort of the nature of the sound in a way.
What are some artists that really resonate with you, Theo? Are you allowed to have favorites? I mean, it's like picking favorites from your children almost, isn't it? You just don't do that.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think there's some that are local to us, and obviously I've had the pleasure of getting to know them on a closer basis. And there's some incredible people behind those projects. And musically speaking, people like Ben, Songtradr and Philanthrope and Sleepy Fish. I think they're the ones when Bas talks about where the sound came from. I think with my sphere or my love of the genre, there's some that then took that kind of organic original thing and kind of pushed it into new directions, embracing other sounds. And I think when you listen to Sleepy Fish in particular, it's like a whole nother thing going on with like the more pop style melodies and catchy. It's like catchy, and I think there's elements of that. And then what Songtradr and Philanthrope are doing is pretty crazy too. I mean, there's too many to name, and I feel bad already because there's just so many. There's like Moods in the City too, Misha. There's just so many good. And there's the nice thing is you've got the jazzy side and you've got the more like ambient influence, sort of positive major music side. And once you start to learn more about the genre, it starts to break out into its subsections for sure.
So speaking about submissions now, C. Millie wants to know, how do I submit music to you?
Yeah, well, it's been so hard to accept submissions because it's always been, it's like if we open submissions, we get in 500 submissions, and there's a chance that there is a good track in there, but it's also a big chance that there isn't. So it's been kind of hard. We're working on a way to have somewhat open submissions, or at least chances for people to get involved in Chillhop from an open sort of position. So we're working on something there. So keep your eyes on the platforms. But at the moment, we don't have open submissions.
Right. It takes resources, right?
A lot of resources.
And I'm assuming from what I've heard from both of you is that if you did open something like that up, that you would take it quite seriously because it's a responsibility. So I'm just assuming that you'd want to do it in a really good way.
It's hard just even like, getting through all of the submissions that we got in. I think last time I did it was when I was curating a mix for YouTube. I was like, just sent out a quick message on like Twitter or something, even like, if you guys have some stuff to send in, you can do it. And I had 200 submissions and I was like, spent the whole night and I just got through like half of them. I was like, it's impossible for us to take this on at the moment. So it's always been a challenge. There are some platforms for it, but working on it. Let's keep it at that.
What is the process, if I can just ask very quickly in between, what is the process of finding the artist that you think will really fit Chillhop?
It's usually, it's always been like things like SoundCloud and stuff and us just finding stuff online. It's also getting introduced by other artists. So there's always a sort of idea of like a circle there, but I definitely want to work more of like breaking out of that circle and really finding the talent in places that you wouldn't normally look in. So we're also, making steps to connect a little bit more locally and find local talent. I think that's something that because we're such an international label that we haven't really done that much before. But we really want to support the local music community as well, and see if we can inspire the kids and see what talent is here locally.
I'm sure the local artists are very excited to hear that. So last question is from Nick. He wants to know, why do so many content creators love Chillhop music?
I think they love it because it's easy to fit in anywhere, like Theo suggested earlier. It fits a lot of moods. It doesn't overtake the mood, so it's a nice soundtrack to pretty much anything. I think it's a nice way to put it.
Theo?
Yeah, I'd agree. I think it's hard when you're trying to put music to stuff that you've created to not alter the original feeling you wanted to kind of give with that visual or whatever it is. And I think Chillhop has this weird way of, it doesn't really change anything. It just accentuates it to a degree. I think you can mess that up by picking the wrong song, but still, I think within the style, you'll always find something that seems to fit perfectly. More to what Bas said.
Yeah, well, that's all we have time for. Bas and Theo, thank you so much for being on Happy Hour.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Oh, you're welcome.
V-Dog.
Okay, so now I feel very cool and honoured. Thank you very much. And I didn't give myself the nickname, so then that makes it automatically cool.
It's legit.
Amazing. You made my day. So thanks everyone for watching Happy Hour. We hope that you found this valuable and enjoyable. As always, let us know what you'd like to see on the show and we'll try to bring this in for you. And we will see you next time. Take care. Cheers.
Thanks. Bye.